Standing as Prime Minister, my roles is simple, which first I will be doing characterization and tailor this motion to where this debate should be and introduce one argument from our side. My Deputy Prime Minister over here will rebut the lies and misconceptions provided by the Leader of Opposition, as well as providing another argument to strengthen our wall of defense. Lastly, my Whip Speaker over there will clear all the loopholes coming from the opposition side, as well as providing flashes of the debate to prove to you as to why this debate should go to side government. First, the burden we would like to push for the side of government is how legally binding manifestos serves better justice for the rights of the citizens. Secondly, how legally binding manifestos creates more competent and transparent government to uphold the purpose of democracy. Also, the burden we are claiming from the opposition to prove today is how can justice um, for the citizens can be achieved with your own will, and how a healthy and uncorrupted administration system will not exist when you don't fulfill the manifestos. And now I will start my characterization of this motion. Um, and I'll be explaining a few keywords. So the first keyword is mandate, which means an official order to do something. Political parties, which is an organization that coordinates candidates to compete in a particular country's election. An election, which is a formal and organized choice by vote of a person for a political office. Legally binding, an agreement between two or more parties, especially that is written and enforceable by law. And lastly, a manifesto, which is a published verbal declaration of the intentions, motives, or views of the issuer, be it an individual, group, political party, or government. It is a motive introduced to prove your competency in becoming the worthy administrator of the citizens, as the main objective of the manifesto is to give them hope as well as concrete reasons to trust you to govern them. So, to make it sound clearer, this House will give out an official order to an organization that participates in an organized choice by vote um, to have a published verbal declaration that is enforceable by law. Okay. And now the status quo. Nobody believes politicians anymore because manifesto promises are regularly not being kept too and are being used simply as a gateway to get into power. This petition is to call for this to be rectified. No longer should manifestos be an interesting reading that can be simply discarded by the people that wrote it once the election is over. It is time to give these documents defined and concrete meaning. And the stakeholders, um, as far as the government concerns, we should focus on the people affected by today's debate. This debate should go to all the citizens of Malaysia because these people are the victims of the sweet promises made by the political parties. Okay. And now, the mechanism that the government is proposing today is that we will implement a special committee that will filter, recheck, and evaluate the manifesto and set up when it shall be executed to ensure that the goals of the manifesto are achievable. And this special committee consists of experts in different sectors. For example, economists and health advisors. And these people will ensure um, these people will ensure the feasibility of the manifestos. Okay. Okay. And you have seen this in other countries as well, such as the Trump Promise Tracker, Indian Election Promise Tracker, and also the Africa Check. And this committee will ensure that all the manifestos you have proposed will be fulfilled to ensure your competency and transparency. And they will assess the future government to cater with the current scenario as to fulfill the manifestos at the best time it should. And what we achieve from this is that all the manifestos will be fulfilled, and this proves the objectives are achieved. Done with my characterization. Let's move to my argumentation. So, legally binding manifesto serves the better justice for the rights of the citizens. So when we legally bind manifestos, the political parties that become the government are obligated to carry out these manifestos, or else legal action will be taken against them. And what this does is the government will have to fulfill the promises that they have made. And this benefits the citizens as it is their right to experience a responsible government that will give rise to a prosperous and progressive country. And we believe that the government truly cares about the rights of the citizens as it is our priority um, to ensure the objective is achieved. Okay, something like that. Okay. So at the end of the day, justice of and the justice for the rights of the citizens are achieved. And with all the substances I've provided in my speech, it proves to you on why this debate should fall to side government. With that, I rest my case. Thank you.
All right, thank you for that speech. Now calling upon Leader of Opposition to begin the opposition case. Here.
Just to check, can you hear me?
Yep, you're audible.
Okay, thank you. Uh, the government here today has made are living in such a utopian world where when they say that these political parties, when they are legally binded with a manifesto, suddenly they will all everything will be fulfilled, all the manifesto will be fulfilled, and the people will be served justice. But we believe as opposition that this is not the case at all. But before that, Assalamualaikum and a very good morning I bid to the adjudicators, my fellow team members, the government team, and also all the members of the floor. So today I am standing here as a leader of opposition, and I will be doing three things in my speech today. Firstly, I will be giving out some burdens that our side will prove and what the other side has to prove as well. Secondly, I will give out rebuttals to the case that has been given by the government, and thirdly, I will be also giving two arguments to answer our burdens as well. With me here is the deputy leader of opposition. He will be giving out rebuttals to whatever the second speaker of the government will be saying, and he will also be giving out two arguments as well. And lastly is my whip, and she will be deconstructing the case and also identifying and comparing the clashes and proof that why we will win this debate today. Okay, so the first thing I want to do here is I want to give out the burdens on our side. So firstly, the burdens that we will prove is proof why legally binding manifesto will actually cause politics to become very messy. Secondly, a legally binding manifesto will also lead to a more problematic government and cause problems for the society. Thirdly, legally binding manifestos will cause politics to become very, very dirty and to become very dirty. Okay. The next thing I want to talk about is the characterization of a specific word that they did not mention, the word manifesto. Okay, so manifesto, we have to keep in mind a manifesto is actually it's not a 100% promise. It's more of a goal. We think that it's more of a goal or objective that they want to try to achieve instead of promises that we will do this, like they will be held to the promises. No, it's more of a goal, what they're trying to achieve in the long term run. And it is a goal because there are lots of things, lots of factors that will happen that I will be giving out later. Okay, so moving on to rebuttals. Is the stakeholders. They mentioned that the stakeholders here is only the society, only the people of the country. Where we think that yes, it is also this is the people of the country, and also the political scene as a whole in the country as well. Okay, so the Prime Minister has given us such very little analysis on his argument. He just told us that okay, when they're legally binded to do something, they will do it, and then the people will get their rights, the justice will be upheld for them, and everything will be happy. Okay, this is not the case at all, and I will prove this to you in my arguments. Okay, so firstly, under the burden of why legally binding manifestos will cause politics to become more messy. Okay, so we have to keep in mind that political parties is not the same as the government. Okay, in a government, in a political party, we are all like team members and such. But in the real government, what will happen is that even though let's say party A wins, not everyone in the government is actually from party A. There will be people from party B, party C, party D, and so on. So when there's these lots of different parties, they will all have different opinions. They will all not every they will not like instantly agree to something. There will always be different opinions here. So when with all these different opinions, some people might agree with. Okay, so let's say when this government they want to do a manifesto, they want to, for example, let's say they want to in the manifesto they said, okay, we want to increase salary for everyone here by for everyone working in the country. Okay, so then when they go up to the parliament, okay, as we know, to pass something, to pass a suggestion or motion or whatever, we have to go to the parliament, and in the parliament they will have to go through a vote system. So when they bring up their manifesto, they try to carry it out, and they go to the parliament, and the parliament says, and in the end, the parliament does not agree with what they are doing. Okay, and then when the parliament does not agree, what will happen here? Okay, what will happen is that the manifesto cannot get carried out because because we have to pass it to the parliament in order for the manifesto to actually happen. So when it does not happen, here is the problem of the legally binding system. In the legally binding system, it says that people will be punished if they do not actually manage to do the manifesto. But in this case, uh, who will be punished here? In this case, okay, who will be punished?
Yeah, sir.
Will the politician himself? Not yet. Will the politician himself be punished, or will the people who reject that motion be punished? Who will be punished? So, as we know, because it is bounded by law, and there must be someone who is wrong in this case if it is connected to law. So they will have to find the person, find who is wrong. But in this case, we do not know who is wrong, and this will cause very messy scene of politics. So what will happen is that what will happen is that it will actually lead to a more problematic government and cause problems for society. This is the second burden. Okay, so when the government is busy dealing with all these problems, okay, they will not have that much time. They will have to focus on going to court, and court takes a long time, as we know. Cases take like years to finish. So when they go to this court, they have to keep on going to court because, like, imagine if all the manifestos does not pass, then they have to go to court, and they cannot focus on doing their duty. And in the end, when they cannot focus on doing their duty, they cannot deliver their manifestos in the set time. What will happen is that the people themselves will actually be the ones who are getting hurt in the end. Sure, they say that okay, maybe with the legally binding manifesto, they will get to know what will happen. They're just getting justice, but we think that we are giving them more justice in the sense that we will let the government become less messy, and and if the government becomes more messy and all this, their rights will not be upheld at all. We are thinking of the long-term benefits, whereas they are thinking, okay, maybe the short-term benefits for them are very good. Uh, People will know what they're going to get, but we think of the long-term benefits. At least these people, the government will not become messy, and they can focus on doing their job in the first place. And with that, I've never been prouder to oppose. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you for that speech. Now calling upon Deputy Prime Minister. Here, here.
Can you hear me?
Yep, okay, please.
Um,
I'm sorry, can you hear me again?
Yeah, you're audible.
All right. It is sad to see these parties spreading white lies under the disguised curtain of manifesto, creating a blindfold for the citizen to trust them, and for you to claim it can't be fulfilled with your excuse of its feasibility. It is super embarrassing to hear. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good day, Abi, to the honorable panel of educators, meticulous timekeeper, worthy opposition, comrades of government, and all everyone present here in today's debate. So, standing as the Deputy Prime Minister, here is how I'm going to structure my debate today. First, I will respond to the case brought up by the opposition, as well as providing rebuttals, and also present another argument from our side to prove you why we should win today's debate, to prove you why we cater more to the country and to the citizens. First, okay, without further ado, let's just move on to my rebuttals. So, first, they contest to us the meaning of manifesto. They contest to us that manifesto is just a goal. Sure, it is just a goal, but remember the purpose of you creating a manifesto in the first place. It is a tool for you to get the trust for the citizens. So to get the trust for the citizen to choose you as the government. So are you saying that by not fulfilling the manifesto when you become the government is okay? Do you really care about the citizens? But we see that you don't. So second, you say that you don't see political party as the same as government as it consists of different parties, but they are the one who will become the government, and sure, so they have to have a specific measure on the feasibility of the manifesto, and we have to support this with our mechanism with the existence of the special committee. Third, they say about who will be punished because it is legally binding, because it is a legally binding system, it is a legal system. We didn't mention anything about who's wrong. Surely the opposition side didn't pay close attention to what my prime minister has already stated before. We don't know who is wrong. We don't say that who is wrong, but our mechanism has stated that we have a special committee that will cater to the manifesto and that will ensure that the right for the citizens, that the quality of the democracy at the end of the day will achieve its objective at the end of the day. Four, what the flaws coming from the side of opposition, they didn't prove and they have lack guarantee. They didn't prove what's the assurance that the manifesto or the objective or the responsibility of the one who becomes the government in the future will serve the justice for the citizens. They just say that we live in utopia, but we think they are the one who live in utopia. We know we have to concede the fact that harsh reality exists. They fail to engage with our status quo that these corrupted political parties exist. They live in utopia thinking that everyone is naive, everyone will serve the justice for the citizen. So we concede to the fact that there are people who wants to be government because they want power and they want greed. And in our worst case scenario, we have proposed to you, we see this, and if let's say it happens, at least the government will fulfill their job legally. At least they fulfill the objective of them become the government, and at least they serve the justice for the citizens. The opposition side lives in their own utopia where there's no guarantee that no guarantee that justice will be served, and all people are just naive. So done with my battle session. Let's move on to my argumentation. So, my argumentation is under the keyword how mandating legally binding manifesto strengthen the quality of this democracy system. First, speaking in the context of election, it proves the existence of democracy in the first place, and also the meaning of manifesto, where it is your job as the political parties who are competing to repay the one who had given you the power to govern them. Understand the fact that this democracy system is what gives you the position and the acknowledgement. To ensure that to obligate to this system, you have to fulfill your manifesto at the end of the day. Why? First, it is the sole reason why you are put up high in this position, because how promising your manifestos look like in the first place. So, second, it is upsetting to see that those pledges of the manifestos are disregarded or put in hold indefinitely after the party wins because you say that it's not feasible. Our manifesto is not feasible for the government to cater to society. We acknowledge this scenario and the harms it brought us. Without you giving the guarantee of regarding your pledges, it corrupt the democracy system at the end of the day. Government side don't want this to happen, and this needs to stop because we want democracy to progress at its full objective at the end of the day. We, on the other hand, gives you guarantee that progressing towards a more honest system, and that's just defeat your own burden of proof, saying that we are creating a more messy government. That is just absurd. You may say, without legally binding, the parties knows their moral obligation as they acknowledge their responsibility. Sure, but to see how the status quo that has been stated by Adam just now, as that even you can see in your own eyes, you cannot turn a blind eyes on that. We are in dire need to execute these legally binding manifestos in order that we can ensure the justice of our citizens and in order that democracy system is continuingly be healthy at the end of the day. This issue is about who caters more to the country and the society, and to obligate it is the way of the government to serve justice at the end of the day, and also to uplift the democracy institution. What we want on today's debate, we want a government that gives guarantee to the country with the promise that they have given during the election. We want a country where people can believe you and your competency to administrate them. If you want and administrate them, because we see how the harsh reality exists in this country. We see that people just want to have power and just want to have great exist, and how are we controlling the damage is by executing these legally binding manifestos. So, if you want to see a paradigm where reality exists at its full potential, you have to sense with the government. Because we surely cares about the society more, we surely cares about the country more, and that's the end of it. If you want to see a world that is fair and justice, stand with the government. Thank you.
All right, thank you for that speech. Now calling upon Deputy Leader of Opposition. Here, here.
Okay, a very good morning, I bid to everyone present. Me today as the Deputy Leader of Opposition, here is how I'm going to structure my speech. So first, I'm going to give some rebuttals towards the government, and I'm going to provide some points of arguments in our side and why to further strengthen our beliefs. Okay, so first, there will be some rebuttals that I will going to be state in my arguments. Okay, so when the government talk about how having this legally binding manifesto thing can it lead to justice and whatnot, they are actually not looking at the bigger picture. As this is actually just a short-term solution for them. Okay, so moving on to a point of argument. So, like what the government said about having a legally binding manifesto policy will make politics less messy, but it's actually not the case. And our point argument is okay, like what my leader of opposition said just now, that parties are different than the government, and to win, the political parties will come out with beautiful manifestos because their reason is to convince and also make the people tempted for their manifestos so that they choose and vote for them. Okay, so basically, manifesto will go through for a majority vote in the parliament, and we know that a parli- the cabinet consists of different parliaments from different political parties, And so if there are some members from different political parties that actually disagree about the manifestos given by the government,
POI, sir.
or maybe, no thank you, or maybe actually object to all the manifestos provided by the government, then this will actually lead to a more chaotic situation. Okay, so who is going to be held accountability for? So, so when there is no policy about mandating legally, I'm sorry, if there is no policy about having legally binded manifestos. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, if we actually mandate this legally binded manifesto policy, we know that someone else will get prosecuted, and this will be very messy, as we know that somebody will go to court, frequently involved in law cases and whatnot. And we have to think if even now, during this situation now where there is
POI,
no
please.
such thing as legally, no thank you, there's no such thing as this legally binded manifesto policy. The other political parties has already trying very hard to bash the government, to find out their flaws and point out their faults, say that, oh, they didn't do this, they didn't do that, just to drag them to court or the judiciary system because they didn't carry out their manifesto. So imagine if we have this legally binded manifesto policy, this is actually music to the ears of the other political parties. And this will actually be very, very helpful to them because they know that they can take full advantage of it to stumble or take down the government. So whenever they find fault, either small or big, they will definitely bring it up because they know that there is a law that say that if they don't carry out this manifesto, then they will get prosecuted. Okay, so basically they will play the political parties will play the dirty card. They will try to gather people all around who are really well educated about laws and politics to try very hard to point out to find the flaws in the government and try to bring them down in the legal system. So basically, they want the government to be prosecuted because they want to win. They want to ruin the people's trust to them because they want to win. So imagine, right, if the people keep seeing government going in and out of of the court, then definitely they will be like, oh my God, they will definitely question them why the government is so messy, why the government is so problematic. They will definitely ask for a reformation in the government. So basically, they will support the other political parties because they know that, oh, they are very smart. They managed to point out the government's flaws, the government's problems, and that is actually the main motive of the political party. They want to convince and turn the people to become their supporters and also their allies. So actually, this is not really benefit the people, but actually benefit more to the political party. Okay, so moving on to our next point of argument about making vague manifesto. So basically, if we mandate this legally binded manifesto policy, all we want is transparency, but actually, our house strongly believe that this will actually backfire, as the political party will be doing the manifesto just not to be prosecuted, just for the sake of not being prosecuted and not for the sake of the people's well-being. And I'm going to give an example like specific, because normally when political parties want to win, they will give out specific manifestos because that kind of specific manifestos will be tempting to the people. For example, if the political party that won the election become government promise about abolishing toll in West Malaysia in 2 years, they know that they have to do it. They have no choice but to do it because they know that if they don't do it, then they will get prosecuted. So actually, they are not doing it for a good cause. There is not sincere. So if there is this legally binded manifesto, then they will come up with vague manifesto that is not specific because they know that they can easily wiggle off their responsibilities. So at the end of the day, if we don't have this legally binded manifesto, then we know that the government will carry out their manifesto more sincerely for the sake of people, not for the sake of not being persecuted. Therefore, I'm not being a part of the way out.
All right, thank you for that speech. Now calling from government.
If I start, can everyone hear me? We can't keep allowing politicians to lie to us or give us some spin on why they said they're going to do something and then they go back on their promises. This is not a true democracy. We vote in them because of their manifesto promises and because we believe that they can carry it through to their best ability. But before that, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good morning I bid to the members of the floor as well as the dearest educators. I, as the whip speaker on the side of government, will be doing a few things for you today. Firstly, I'll be stating a few rebuttals coming from our side. And secondly, I'll be stating a few clashes. And thirdly, I'll be restating our stance as to why this debate goes to side government. So firstly, for my rebuttals. Firstly, the leader of opposition just now stated that manifestos are goals and not promises. However, we believe that they do not truly understand what the whole definition of manifestos are in the first place. Right? We believe that manifestos, the whole idea of manifestos in the first place is for you to gain the trust of citizens, right? For you to gain the trust of citizens to trust you, for you to become the government in the future, right? However, for the opposition side to simply dismiss this fact and to simply see manifestos as something light and something as light and superficial as that is truly sad on our side. We as the government side truly care because we believe that action is key to actually ensuring that the trust of these people is maintained at the end of the day and not simply just gained at the very get-go, at the first sight, but we believe that we must maintain the trust of the people and the citizens as we are the government that truly cares at the end of the day. Right. Secondly, the opposition side stated that the word that the government side is making is going to cause politics to become messy, and that the politics will become messy and the whole world is going to be chaotic. However, on our side, we believe that the opposition side does not truly understand. we believe that the opposition side is actually the world that the opposition side is creating. It will actually backlash on them at the end of the day, because they are actually creating a messier world. They're trying to make it seem as though goodwill will actually get you to the goal at the end of the day. This is proven. No, thank you. This is proven today's world. Why, if goodwill, if politicians had, if the free will of politicians was so guaranteed to carry out the manifestos and to achieve the goal in the long run, then why are so many manifestos today not even being achieved at the end of the day? We believe that the opposition side has yet to prove that, and the opposition side is ignorant to that fact, right? And we believe that the world that the opposition side is creating creates a messier world, because at least, even in our worst case scenario, there is a slight guarantee that the goals that the manifesto, that the contents of the manifesto are achieved in the long run, as opposed to the opposition side that simply creates these fake promises and false advertising. Thirdly, my third rebuttal. Okay, the opposition side talks about how transparency will be backfired, as said by the deputy leader of opposition, right? How the transparency that we're trying to create to gain the trust of the people will be backfired, as people will make manifestos to not get prosecuted, and it's not sincere, and politicians will not be sincere. And they believe that these manifestos should be for the sake of people and not for being prosecuted. However, on our side, for the government side, we have already stated many times before that this is the whole point of the special committee, right? These special committees are consist of people who are experts in certain fields, like economists, health experts. These people have a lot of knowledge on these facts, and these people can actually support and help go through these manifestos so that they are achievable at the end of the day. What's the point of you making a document, a hard copy, a factual document for you to give out to the world, only for you to not even achieve those goals at the end, for you to not achieve those things at the end of the day? Okay, and also, so my question for opposition side is your side more sincere at the end of the day? How are you so sure that by not legally binding manifestos that your will is more sincere at the end of the day? We believe that this is not the case, and that is truly sad for your side. So next, on to my clashes. I'm going to break down my clashes onto three main things. Firstly, which side serves the rights of the citizens better? Second, which side provides a better democracy? And thirdly, which side understands the purpose and importance of manifesto at the end of the day? Firstly, which side serves the rights of the citizens better? Let's compare the government side and the opposition side, right? Sure, the opposition side talks about how we want to create how they want to make a more sincere and politicians who make manifestos for the sake of people and not for being prosecuted. However, on government side, we believe that at least, even in our worst case scenario, the rights of the people are served at the end of the day. At least the rights of the citizens are actually cared for in comparison to the opposition side that does not truly care about the people. We believe that this is truly sad. Secondly, which side provides a better democracy, right? We believe that the opposition side is very harmful because they have no slight guarantee. Sure, they're giving hope. They're giving hope to the politicians, and they're giving hope to the politicians to do things in a sincere way and to not get prosecuted. However, we believe that this is harmful because that's not the hope. That's not what should be the focus of today's debate. We believe that our side, the government side, provides more guarantee to the people because we believe that it is their right, and that is what a true democracy is about at the end of the day. What's the whole point of you making things for you to, what is the whole point of you becoming a political party, providing manifestos to people, only for you to dismiss their rights? And we believe that this is not what a true democracy is about at the end of the day, and that is why. And lastly, which side understands the purpose and importance of manifesto? We believe that on both sides, government comparing government and opposition side, we believe that the government side truly cares for the importance of manifesto, as we believe that we will actually carry out these things, and we will actually serve and guarantee, we will actually serve what has been said there and serve the rights of the people, the citizens of Malaysia, as well as provide a better and more integrity democracy right at the end of the day. So if you want to live in a world that truly cares for the people and the citizens, and not simply just viewing things in the short term, we believe that goes for side government, because that's the best world at the end of the day. Thank you.
Thank you for that speech. Now calling for opposition to begin.
Before I start, can you hear me clearly?
Yep, great.
We believe that in this debate, it is quite clear from all three speakers of government, and starting with my speech, that it is clear as day as to who understands this motion better and who thinks of the better condition of the political scene of the country in the long-term run. So before I start, I'd like to clarify about what I'll be doing today. First of all, I'll be giving out my questions to side government where they didn't answer my POIs, because there are quite a few questions that they have yet to answer, and I think it'll be a bit too late to answer them in reply. Secondly, I'll provide my clashes, and I'll integrate my rebuttals into my clashes. First of all, my question of who provides a better political system as a whole, and secondly, short-term wins versus long-term safety. And last but not least, I'll paint a picture of what government's end goal is and what opposition's end goal is. So first and foremost, my POIs that I wanted to give to side government. So first and foremost, when my leader of opposition came up and questioned about who are you going to hold accountable, because we have to consider the fact that this government doesn't consist of just one political party, it consists of a few members of a political party, and that disagreement to a manifesto can happen, not necessarily. It doesn't just happen like, oh, okay, you become a government, this is our manifesto from our party, so everybody agrees, happy ending. No, man, there can be disagreements in the term of manifestos in parliament, and what will happen if the manifesto cannot be carried out due to a majority saying no, or due to some members saying no? What happens then? You did not clarify about what's going to happen if this case occurs. What all you said was, oh, there's going to be, we don't know who's going to be wrong, we just have a special committee and that's it. That means you're not even taking into account who is actually wrong in this situation. All you're taking into account is we have a committee, that's it. This is not a TV show where all you can do is have a committee, look at the wrong things and identify who's wrong. That's not the issue here. You have to explain to us who on earth is wrong here, who on earth is going to be blamed for this problem, for these undone manifestos, who's going to be the person who's going to be held accountable. You did not state who's going to be held accountable, so hence that falls. Secondly, you did not characterize what kind of punishment by law are you going to give by the legally binding manifestos. We expected to listen to maybe you're going to give them a fine, maybe you're going to give jail time at the end of the day or a re-election, but nothing. We heard nothing from side government, and none of them accepted my POIs when I wanted to help them and ask what they actually meant by that. Next. To move on to my first question and clash, who provides a better political system? Sure, all three speakers from government gave you a beautiful story on how citizens' rights are going to be upheld under their side. Under their side, citizens' rights are heard. Under their side, their world is happier, their world is safer, and their world is more fair. We believe that side government has to wake up and become more mature, because they have to understand what the real world is actually like. They told us about harsh reality. Your world is not harsh. Your world is where you believe that, okay, if we enforce a punishment onto government, which we don't know what the punishment is, if we enforce something onto government, then they have to do it and their end of story. All citizens are happy. That's not the case. You have to think about your checks and balances that will happen from your side as well, which side opposition, my side, has clearly catered to. First and foremost, regarding dirty politics,
Please.
no, thank you. Side government did not acknowledge the fact of dirty politics occurring, and they just dismissed the fact by saying that, oh, this is not going to happen, blah, blah, blah. And they pointed out our flaws, our potential flaws, by saying that we didn't cater to citizens' rights and such. What we're actually catering to, opposition is trying to cater to the bigger picture as a whole, because we believe that this short-term win is not the best solution. Why? Because we understand that dirty politics can occur on the government side. It already occurs in status quo. What more under their side, where my second leader of opposition has already clarified to you that dirty politics can occur. Other political parties would want the government to lose, and they'd be even more happy if it was going to be a punishment by law. They would try their best to frame this government, to find such faults, so that the government will keep on being held to court, will keep on being investigated, and hence lose the next election. This is what we mean by dirty politics. You have to consider the fact that that actually happens in the real world. Secondly, regarding a messy government, they have yet to acknowledge the fact that how this political scenes actually work.
CY,
The
please.
political party, hold on, the political party is not the same as the government. Sure, you can say that, oh, once they become government, they're going to agree. That isn't necessarily the case. You have to understand how reality works, and that in this system, a messy government can actually happen. If there are actual manifestos not being agreed to, it will become messy, and it will actually lead to problems in your mechanism. When you talk about how you're going to have a legally binding manifesto, what happens if those manifestos are not gone through? Who is going to put the blame? Those are the questions that you still have to answer in your reply. So in opposition, we understand how checks and balances work. We understand that, yes, we're sticking to status quo, but we are sticking to status quo because we are thinking of the long-term benefits. What are the long-term benefits? I'll say that in my second clash. So first of all, short-term wins versus long-term safety. What side government has been painting from their first speaker is all regarding short-term wins. They talked about, all three speakers, their only main argument was citizens' rights. When all of us under opposition talked about, okay, messy government, talked about dirty politics, talked about the problem with the manifesto at the end of the day, what all they came up with was a sob story about how the manifestos won't be used. And it's so sad that they're all on a piece of paper and they're not going to be used at the end of the day. That's the only argument side government is bringing to you. What side opposition is telling you that we are the ones who understand how the field of politics actually works and how we want to have a more safe world of politics for the country instead of having these short-term wins. Sure, side government can tell you that, we believe that citizens' rights are a hold, hence for forever and eternity, the government will always be happy, citizens will be all happy. That's not the case here, ladies and gentlemen. Under opposition, we concede to the fact that, okay, we understand your point on citizens' rights. However, we want you to realize that there are checks and balances to your problems. When you have all of these problems, when you have a legally binded manifesto, you have to consider the fact of other political parties taking advantage of this, of problems that might happen in parliament, of problems that might happen with the manifesto itself. They do not concede to these problems, and hence this is why side opposition has already won the case since the start, because their only argument is regarding citizens' rights. They didn't bring up anything else. And we believe that under opposition, because we have long-term safety, we adhere to the problem of a corrupted government, where we believe that where we consider the fact, yes, status quo is corrupted. Corruption is mutually exclusive on both sides, ladies and gentlemen. It doesn't mean under government, just because they have a law, it's going to be a utopia. No, corruption occurs under both sides. But we understand that under government, it's going to be way more corrupted because there's going to be worse dirty politics due to that law, and there's going to be even more problems that arise. With a more corrupted government, hence the citizens will suffer even more at the end of the day than our side. We believe that we do not want this to happen. Sure, you have your short-term wins, but at the sacrifice of huge problems, at the sacrifice of huge losses. You're sacrificing the citizens' future, you're sacrificing the government from being more corrupted, you're sacrificing so many big things in order to have that short-term win. We believe that that's not the case that you should be having here. So to paint a bigger picture, government is willing to have big sacrifices. They're willing to sacrifice. They're willing to sacrifice a more fair political scene. They're willing to sacrifice citizens' rights in the future being upheld in order for these short-term wins. And we believe in opposition, we understand this scene better, and we've painted huge pictures to you on why status quo is safer than the world that government is proposing. So if you want to side with a side that understands what the future might behold and that how we do not live in utopia, please side with side opposition. Thank you.
Thank you for that speech. Now calling upon the last speech of our competition. Here we are.
So, in today's debate, it has become apparent and very clear that the real people who understand this debate, who understand what is happening in this real world, who are not living in this fantasy-made utopia, is us, the opposition side, and this government is only living in a world where everything will go right, nothing will go wrong. But before that, Assalamualaikum and a good morning. I bid once again to everyone here. I am the leader of opposition, and I will be giving a speech once more as a reply speech to end this debate today. Okay, so what I will be doing is I will be giving out, I will be telling you what are the problems with the government today and tell you why we, the opposition, has won today's debate. Okay, so firstly, what the government has been saying, it has been going on and on and on and on about non-stop, is saying that they keep talking about people's rights, how people will deserve a right to know. People deserve to know the manifestos that will happen. It's not a lie. We think that and they say that they will give this justice to the people, and we say that okay, maybe that's true. Maybe we say that maybe that's true, that you give these people justice in the beginning. You are catering to them in this regard, in the short term. But we think that in the long term, okay, in the long term, we have explained, as I have explained in my earlier speech, how politics become messy, and then all this corruption and all these things will happen. We think that these things will actually prevent the government from actually doing their work in the first place. When the government cannot do their work when the government cannot do their work in this regard, it means that the right for people, the people's rights to get a good government, to get a good body of people who are governing them, is not fulfilled. They will only, sure, they will get the manifesto, what they will do, but it is not necessarily that what they will get, because of all the technicalities that we have explained in all of our three speeches today. Okay. Secondly, the second problem they have here is that they keep on mentioning about, okay, we pointed out to them how the problem with the system here is that all of these check and balances, all of these problems, all of these technicalities that will happen in a political scene, and all they have done here today, okay, is say that this special body will deal with it, and that is not enough, ladies and gentlemen. In this case, we need to know how will these bodies deal with it. How will, as we said before about the blame, who will the blame be put on? There was no reply to that. They would just say, okay, the body will find it, will find the person. Then after they find a person, they also did not give what will happen as a punishment to these people. They just said that okay, we will find these people, that's it. But we, on the opposition side, we consider that they will be taken into court because it is legally binding. Not the word legally, it is by law. So when it is legally binded by law, there will of course be bad repercussions. We got to go to court, and court takes a long time, as I have mentioned before. Uh, Thirdly, the government here has been saying that everything will go right. Okay, when the manifestos are correct, people will get to know, and then the government will do all these manifestos. Whereas we think that this is not the case because of all the technicalities of how we mentioned just now, and also as my second speaker mentioned about all the dirty politics that will happen. And we think that, and they mentioned that our side will have lots of corruption, but we think that both sides will have a corruption in the end, as stated by my second speaker. He told you how corruption will happen no matter what, because people will try to find faults, and they will be fighting each other. See, politics will always become dirty, and it will continue to become even more dirtier on their side. Okay. So what have we told you today? We have told you why. We have proved to you why. We have proved to you why this the we have proved to you why legally binding manifesto will cause politics to become very messy, all the technicalities. Secondly, we have proved to you that a legally binding manifesto will lead to a more problematic government and cause problems for society. And thirdly, we have proved why a legally binding manifesto will lead to a very dirty politics scene, whereas the government here has never thought about the technicalities and only lives in a utopia world. And with that, I've never been prouder to oppose. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that speech. Now calling upon government reply. Here, here.
Can you hear me again?
Yep.
All right. Who is to blame? Who is wrong? What they see is to only point the fault of others. What they see is thrushes in the land full of in the gardens full of flowers. How pathetic. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and very good day. In the second arena, in my reply speech, I will prove you two things. First, why they're wrong. Second, why we're right. Hence, why we win today's debate. So first of all, why they are wrong. They failed to give their own premise on how they ensure that justice for the rights of the citizens achieved. That dirty politics can that dirty politics can be solved at the end of the day, and how a healthy and uncorrupted administration will not exist, which is the burden you are pushing from the first and from the start of this session. You failed to prove that. We're claiming from you, but the fault of you only keep on pointing on us, but you don't see your own torn clothes. How embarrassing the side of opposition today. They keep on saying, if you're wrong, you need to be punished. Why you have to see all solutions by punishing? Why must know necessarily who is wrong? You have even given you a better solution with our mechanisms, which is a long-term solution on which our mechanism we believe on the special committee. These experts can help in catering to our mechanisms better, our manifesto better. You blame on us, you point too much on us, but you don't engage with the status quo and you don't solve the status quo itself. And that's how you are wrong on today's debate. That's coming into point to the third why they're wrong. They give us no guarantee that your side don't have the deposits or even how you solve the deposits, just claiming it from us, but we have provided our own worst case scenario with even these dirty politics exist. They have to fulfill the obligation of the manifesto, and how we are actually proving the justice of the citizens at the end of the day. But your side, you failed to do that. So that's why you're wrong. Second, why we're right, we see the bigger picture, we see the solution, because this corrupted system is exist and it has to stop. With our mechanism in legally binding, we believe in our special committee, they can help in catering to the manifesto. We don't live in a utopia where all politicians are good, and even when the government is constructed from different party, it won't be messy. Yes, we are consider the fact that it will be messy, but with the existence of our special committee, it can help to control the damage. But on their side, they didn't prove how do you contest to the damage that will happen when the government is constructed from different parties. So you said that the government cabinets consist of different parties and parliament can be messy. Sure, in your world, do you acknowledge that it can also happen in your world? Have you seen the parliament today and the backlash, and it already backlash your burden that you're pushing on creating more messy system? But on the government side, sure, we control the damage with, I repeat, we control the damage with the existence of a special committee that will assist you. So if you're not agreeing with that, are you disregarding the ability of a special committee that can cater to the manifesto better? And this expert is the one that can help our country to strive better and progress and to uphold the justice of the democracy system. Why we right into this debate? We concede to the status quo, the fact that how unfair the people are treated. We understand the context of the context of debate better. Democracy is about the right of citizens. The manifesto is the tool that you use in order for you to get support from others. This debate should go to citizens who have been blindfolded, becoming the victims of people who feels great power to finally serve justice to these people. This debate goes to having a fairer country where democracy is upholded thoroughly. This debate goes to citizens who have been mistreated, betrayed by the person they have chosen at the end of the day. And lastly, proudly to say, this debate goes to the Trinity, the government. Thank you.
Alright, thank you for that speech, and that marks the end of the semi-finals of the Inter-Custom Debate Championship. All of you may leave this call and go back to the main room where Kuhan and I will prepare our verdict and announce the results there. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.